Hello, Isaac.
Put the camera on yourself and do the intro.
Hello, Isaac.
Hello. We don't do the whole hello thing anymore.
Oh.
Just do. You said you had it. It's easy. Just go ahead and do it. Put the camera on yourself.
Hello, Isaac.
Just tell the people what we're doing today, Nick.
Songs for charity.
Great.
Are we going to play some songs to raise money for charity?
Nope. Because we got kicked off
Oh, no, we're
YouTube.
going to talk about people that already did that.
Yep.
That's what we're going to do. Do you want to know why we're talking about that today?
Because we ran out of other shit to talk about.
No, that's not correct. Because on this day in history, We Are the World was recorded. This was the day that they all got together. I'm Misty.
And I'm Ike.
For the next 15 minutes,
We're going to debate pop culture.
my background's in music.
My background's in film.
I know the topics beforehand.
And I don't.
We check the internet for the facts,
And ruin it with opinions.
from pop rocks in your lunchbox.
To Happy Meal toys and swatch clocks. What year in history was that?
Well, let me tell you really quickly. Wait, shit. where is it?
1985.
1985.
1985.
1985. So We Are the World. It had a whole bunch of people. Do you want to know who?
Yeah. I'd like to know all of the people.
Okay.
Name them.
Lionel Richie, Kenny Rogers, Michael Jackson, Paul Simon, James Ingram, Tina Turner, Billy Joel, Diana Ross, Dionne Warwick, Willie Nelson, Al Jarreau, Bruce Springsteen, Kenny Loggins, Steve Perry, Daryl Hall, Huey Lewis, Cyndi Lauper, Bob Dylan, and Ray Charles. The choir was filled
did you
out.
get Dan Aykroyd in there?
Because I thought he was in the choir.
Oh, okay.
There were 20 people in the choir that
okay.
were people like Bette Midler, Smokey Robinson, the Pointer Sisters, LaToya Jackson, Waylon Jennings, and Band-Aid architect Bob Geldof.
Did you say Kenny Loggins after every other name? Because that would be really funny.
That actually, yeah. Because, I mean, he basically is the most important person in this list. Because he's the highway to the danger zone.
There's a lot of interesting facts about this song. There's some drama associated with this jam.
Check your ego at the door.
Yeah, I like that. So that was on the door.
Yeah.
Apparently,
Yeah, they had
on the way
signs.
into the studio.
Yeah.
My favorite, weird fact about this is Prince didn't like the song, so he didn't show up.
I love that so much.
And
I love
he-
he was just like, this
and-
sucks. I could have done better. I ain't going.
And at the time, he blamed it on needing to bail out a bodyguard after the AMAs the night before. So
Right.
he used that as the excuse, but really he just didn't like the song.
I love
Well,
that so much.
the thing I got says that he came back with a counteroffer to play guitar on the track.
Which would have been so cool.
And Quincy Jones responded to Prince's manager, Bob Cavallo, and said, I don't need him to play effing guitar.
Man, fuck you, Quincy.
So Prince instead
Like, that's what I would have said.
he contributed
Fuck you,
a
Quincy.
full song to the USA for Africa album.
Yeah.
He's got his own track.
That's so, man, such a badass. So cool. So do you know, why, where this came from? What the start was of these giant celebrity groupings for charity like this?
No, how'd it start?
So it started with Band-Aid. Band-Aid was something in the UK. They came up with a single called Do They Know It's Christmas in 1984.
Such a good song.
It was started by Boomtown Rats singer Bob Geldof, who had seen the crisis going on in Ethiopia. And a week later, he ran into, can't remember exactly who it was. He ran into another singer of another Brit pop band and was like, have you heard about this? And the guy was like, I have. And all of a sudden they started adding people on, I don't know, Sting, Duran Duran, George Michael, Boy George, David Bowie. And they ended up with Phil Collins, Paul McCartney, Bananarama, and they recorded this single, and all of the proceeds for it went to the Ethiopian crisis. And so then we here in America, Quincy Jones went, well, we got to do that.
Well, so I did read that Harry Belafonte
Yeah.
was the person who was most responsible for the American, this happening.
Yeah.
Basically, it was his idea. He went to Quincy Jones, and Quincy Jones started talking to a couple of people. And when Michael Jackson agreed to do it with them, then it blew up, and
Right.
everyone agreed to do it after that. Because in 1985, Michael Jackson was the biggest celebrity in the world, basically.
Yeah, absolutely.
He was up there. You know,
Oh yeah, who
It was
was
kind of a
was
big
it then?
deal.
Who was
I
it in
mean-
1985.
Who was it? I mean, we were all kind of doing our thing in '85. You know,
I was barely walking, but yeah.
I was moonwalking. So, here's one thing about USA for Africa, or whatever that other one was that started this whole thing.
Well,
That-
it was from the UK.
yeah,
Yeah.
I lost this article.
USA for Africa was the
USA for Africa
what
was
they called this organization that
Yeah.
the money was donated to for
We Are the World.
Great. Willie Nelson obviously was a part of that,
Yes.
and that's what inspired him to start Farm Aid in 1985.
Absolutely. Yeah.
USA for Africa participants Dionne Warwick and Stevie Wonder would record "That's What Friends Are For" to benefit AIDS research.
Yep. But you're forgetting a couple people. There were a couple more people in That's What Friends Are For. There were-
I'm forgetting probably a lot of people.
No, there were only four voices. on
Oh,
the song.
who else was there?
It was Dionne Warwick and sorry. Wasn't it Burt Bacharach? Let's see.
That's what we were talking about. That's what friends are for.
Mm-hmm. Gladys Knight was on it. It was Gladys Knight, Dionne Warwick, and then there were two men. It was four voices. I used to sing it into my hairbrush. That's why I remember this.
Give us a couple of bars.
No.
Come on, do it.
No, not even a chance.
So this story could be just the way I remember it, or it could be pure fact. But the where they recorded "We Are the World," which is the A&M recording studios, and it just is listed as Los Angeles right here, is now where the Jim Henson studios are. I could be wrong.
I wouldn't have thought so. I would have thought Jim Henson had been there for a while.
It's yes, but the recording studio inside, the audio recording
Oh
studio
yeah,
inside,
on the inside. Yeah.
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 If
that
you go
sounds
in
about
there,
right.
yeah, and
Let me look
stand
at
in the
pictures.
room.
I feel like you're right. I feel like I've
Yeah.
heard that before.
So the first time I shot there, we got the tour, and that last studio wasn't ready yet. And I don't remember if it was either Tom Petty or the We Are the World thing. They went in and recorded anyway without carpet on the ground.
Yeah.
And then
Heard that.
it sounded so amazing that they were like, well, we can always bring carpet in, but let's leave no carpet in this one studio. And they never carpeted it
Yeah, I've
after
heard that before as well. It's pretty cool.
Also, they have 3 smokestack looking reverb chambers at that studio.
I do.
Pretty awesome.
Done a lot of weird rehearsals for things at Jim Henson, and
Yeah.
I'm always amazed because depending upon who's there the day to like let you into the studios and whatever, some of them are very, hey, do you want to see some stuff?
Yeah.
And everybody has their different version of what they think is the cool stuff to show people. So every time you go, you get to see different things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of love it. I have a very dear friend that her office is there now, and she'll be like, hey, can you take us into this part? And I'm like, where does this come from? I've never seen this part before.
Yeah. And
So
it's
many
not,
weird little nooks and crannies.
it's not a very big lot.
It's not at all.
It's got 1 or 2 big stages, and
Yeah.
then it's just mainly offices.
Yeah, we did Super Bowl rehearsals on the big stage there.
It's one of the best like 3D scanner stages in the
Yeah,
world.
that's exactly why we used it for the Super Bowl stuff, because we could replicate exactly where everything was going to be.
Yep.
Do you want to know there are two of these things that happened that are very, very unique. There was something called Hearing Aid.
Seriously?
Let me tell you why.
Is that real?
It was a collaboration of all of the metal stars of the 80s, the heavy metal stars.
Do you have a
so-
list of that?
Yes, they were so impressed by what everyone else is doing, but they kept noticing that they weren't being included in it because, I mean, their voices probably wouldn't meld that well. Like they didn't sing the same way. And so they
lot.
decided to do their own called Hearing Aid for Africa Famine.
I'm really excited to hear who was in this.
Okay, so Dio bandmates Jimmy Bain and Vivian Campbell were attending a charity radiothon and realized that they were the only heavy metal musicians there. They mentioned that to their band leader, Ronnie James Dio, and together they hatched a plan to correct this wrong and record a charity record.
Dio.
So
That makes sense.
it was Eric Bloom, Don Dokken, Kevin Dubrow, Rob Halford, Paul Shortino, Jeff Tate from the Scorpions, Vince Neil, Mick Mars, Neil Sean, and Harry Shearer in full Spinal Tap persona.
I was excited that it was a bunch of great singers until you got to the Motley Crue guys.
Right?
Like Mick Mars is not.
Vince Neil.
Yeah, Vince Neil and Mick Mars are
funny.
not hitting all the same notes that Dio is.
Yeah, well, I mean, this was back in the 80s, though, when they were a little bit more on their game.
Yeah, maybe.
It was in 1986, and they raised $1 million for Africa famine, with the funds earmarked specifically for agricultural machinery.
Have you seen, I'm sure you have, Swedish Metal Aid?
It is, to this day, it is one of my favorite videos to watch.
Oh.
It is the greatest thing you will ever see.
It's the best thing on the internet. If you
I
haven't seen
really
it,
think
I
it
have
is.
no idea what you guys are even talking about.
You
It's a
should-
bunch of
you
Swedish
should definitely
heavy
Google
metal
it.
stars in the 80s doing a charity song, and you almost think that it's Spinal Tap. You're like, this can't be real. It can't be real,
Awesome.
but it's real.
And that, like, some of them are dressed up, but it's so much hair.
So much hair.
That's it.
And they all look exactly the same. You got to Google it.
You have to
dude.
Google
All
it.
right, I'll check it out.
So the flip side to that is that there is another group, the West Coast Rap All Stars, who in 1990 did a charity benefit called "We're All in the Same Gang," which is amazing, right?
I don't know why I
Like, these
think
guys
that's
are
so-
super creative with this.
so ridiculous.
KRS-One basically decided he wanted to put something together with his Boogie Down bandmates because of the alarming spike in gang warfare, and they wanted to raise some money to combat that. So they had Cool Mo D, Heavy D, Public Enemy, Tone Loc, Young MC, MC Hammer, Ice-T, Dr. Dre, who also served as a producer. And the piece was actually conceived by a guy named Michael Concepcion, who was a
What?
former Crips member who had been paralyzed in a gang-related shooting.
The conception was by a guy named Concepcion. Come on.
The piece was conceived by
insane.
Michael Concepcion.
Here's a small blast of it in case we get kicked off.
That sounds like
We're all in the same game.
hip hop in the 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hip hop in the 80s. Yeah.
I don't see here anywhere how much money it raised.
That also had a very jump, crisscross
Yeah.
Yeah.
kind of feel to
Yeah.
it.
Oh, wow. The song was actually nominated for Best Rap Performance at the 33rd Annual Grammy Awards. That's pretty great.
That isn't that's one of those that when the Grammys hadn't really figured out what rap was yet.
The
they
Grammys
were-
haven't really figured out how to gauge anything.
No, but
it's the biggest shit show in the world.
Especially at that point in time, that would have been them going, "Oh, well, this one's for charity. We'll nominate this." Like there's some shenanigans with that.
Oh,
being
there's
nominated.
some shenanigans across the board with Grammy nominations since the very beginning.
Yeah,
It's not just rap.
The Weeknd didn't even get nominated this year.
I was gonna say there's a lot of
Ridiculous.
yeah. We'll just leave.
What's
it
the
at that.
biggest charity song? Is it "We Are the World" or is it "Do They Know It's Christmas"? Like, what's the one that raised the most money?
That's a good question.
That is a
because
good question.
Do you know,
I don't know which
do they
one.
know it's Christmas is on every year
It is.
for a month?
Yeah.
Yeah, where does that money go now?
I think it
I'm
still
sure
goes.
it still goes to a foundation.
Yeah, I think it still goes to the
Absolutely.
foundation.
Yeah.
Fine.
But We Are the World had to have raised more money at the time, like in the moment.
Yeah,
But
I
do you
would've
know?
thought
Do
so.
they know it's Christmas is happening for a 12th of every year?
Yeah.
So it would be interesting. Like, are we looking that up? We should get that fact.
You should.
You'll have to tune in next time, folks.
Well, hold on. I have an article about each of them right here. So it's got to tell me how much each of them raised.
I thought there were like a lot more like big ones where 50 people got in the room, but I'm not seeing them.
There's quite a few. There's
mean, there's-
Voices That Care that was about the Gulf War. There's Heal the World.
But there's still stuff like that happening. They did some
Yeah.
stuff like that at the beginning of quarantine
Yeah.
when we thought it was
that
going to
like
last 2 weeks.
Global Citizen and yeah. Well,
Like everybody's like, wash your hands.
this article does not
Put
tell me.
on your mask and wash your hands.
Isaac, will
my-
you look up how much money did Do They Know It's Christmas make?
Okay.
Fun fact while you guys are looking that up, Harry Belafonte is
Interesting fella.
is best known for his song, the Banana Boat song.
Yeah.
The
Get on the boat.
Banana boat.
Day-o, that song.
Yeah.
That's
They
fucking,
like
that's Harry
come
Belafonte.
and they want to
24 million bucks.
All right. Well, We Are the World raised $63 million, equivalent to $147 million today.
Dang, even with the Christmas every year thing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. 90% of the money was pledged and delivered for African relief, both long and short term.
Maybe this was just what was raised at the time. It sold 2 million copies. Maybe it's not including like post residuals.
Maybe.
I read just a second ago that We Are the World was 75 million. So that's probably where it's at now
Yeah.
compared to the 60 something from the 80s
Right.
or whatever.
Well,
Well,
that's our good deed for the week, folks.
that's our good deed. Done. Good deed done.
And since tomorrow's Friday,
We'll see you then.
see you tomorrow.